I've been using Logic Pro for 20 years. Can Logic Pro for the iPad hold up to its full-fat computer counterpart? This video is sponsored by UPDF. More about them later on in the video. I sat down with Logic Pro for iPad and its 30-day free trial and wrote a song to see how well it worked for me and what I do, which is write songs and record songs using Logic as my sort of songwriting palette. I've wanted Logic Pro on the iPad for a long time. Ever since the iPad came out, it seemed like it was a logical step and a great use for the iPad. Lots of people make music on the iPad with GarageBand and other music programs, but I've never really gotten into GarageBand because it kind of works backwards from most other DAWs that I've used, including Logic, even though GarageBand was based on Logic. It was clearly simplified to make it easier for entry-level users or just people who wanted to mess around and not really be serious or do, I don't know. It was changed from how DAWs usually work. Now, I've been recording for 25 years and using Logic for my DAW for 20 of those years, before Apple even bought Logic from eMagic. Logic is an incredibly powerful DAW. It has only gotten better in the years since Apple bought it back in 2004. One of the best aspects of Logic compared to other DAWs is its rock-solid optimization with the Apple hardware. It always runs extremely well on Apple machines, and it should, because that's the only machine you can use it on. And the fact that you paid one time for the license and then basically got updates for life up to this point. I paid for Logic Pro years and years ago, and I've gotten every update since, including the update to Logic Pro 10, and I still get updates every time they put in new features or something new is released. Those updates have brought some pretty great features along the way, but my favorite has been Drummer, which is probably the best, most natural drumming AI partner that I've ever found, other than a real person, and Logic Drummer doesn't have an opinion, so maybe it's the best drummer I've ever played with. Logic Pro for iPad has Drummer and a lot of the other kind of bells and whistles the full-fat Logic has, but getting into that and finding how it works in the touch realm was my biggest concern. What isn't a lot of work compared to how we usually deal with PDFs comes from this video's sponsor, UPDF. Now, UPDF is your one-stop shop for all things PDF. With UPDF, you can read, annotate, convert, protect. You can reduce the size of your PDFs, you can sign forms, you can organize, and you can even fill out forms, which is one of the most annoying things to do. UPDF makes it simple. UPDF is available on Mac, Windows, iOS, Android, and it's all under one license. And you get 10 gigabytes of free UPDF cloud storage so you can access your PDFs on any device that you've got. With this deal today, you can get UPDF for 54% off, and the 10 gigabytes of cloud storage are thrown in for free. Just go to the description below, click the link down there for UPDF, and it'll take care of everything that you need to do for all your PDF needs. Another hurdle when using Logic on the iPad was hardware. Logic for iPad has keyboards and other instrument interfaces built in to the program itself, and you can kind of play on the iPad, but I usually write on guitar, and I need some way to get a guitar signal into the iPad. I have several higher-end audio interfaces, but none of them are class compliant, meaning they need some kind of software or driver to work with a device. And since none of those drivers are written for the iPad, it was off to get my emergency interface, a Behringer UMC22, which has one microphone input and one instrument input, and yeah, it's class compliant. So I set that up with the guitar and one mic, a United Studio Technologies UT2087, which is a clone of the classic Neumann U87, and not terribly expensive. I also plugged in an Akai mini keyboard, so if I needed to put some keyboard parts in or do some drumming or any of that kind of stuff, I could do that. Here's how I usually write demos. I either have a guitar or a keyboard part in my head, or I start with a drum part or a groove or something like that, and I write from there. I wanted the song to be totally new, so I started with a drummer loop. I actually just opened up a brand new Logic project and put a drummer track in there, and the drummer track had a loop already built in, and I thought, well, I'll just use this one. And so then I started working on a guitar part, and I got 3 parts together, and then I played through a few times to get an arrangement in my head, and then I went up to 145 beats a minute, so it had a little bit of a tempo. And after about 10 or 15 minutes writing out those guitar parts, I extended that drummer loop out to about 3 minutes in total, so I knew I had enough, and I went ahead and started playing. The great thing about Drummer is it's a smart AI kind of drummer. It actually kind of listens to what you're doing and puts in its own fills and that kind of thing. In the computer version of Logic, you can actually tell it to follow the bass part or guitar part or whatever. And I didn't see that in the iPad version of Logic, but honestly, I was working fast. I didn't want to fool around. I tracked 3 versions of the guitar part, each of them kind of different in rhythm and sound, and even inversions up the scale of the guitar so that I had a little bit of sonic variety. This is how I usually do it so I can have something to work with, but sometimes I end up not arranging it perfectly for the vocals and the lyrics that I'm going to write, mostly because I haven't written the lyrics. Songs can start in a bunch of ways, either a musical idea, a feel, or a vibe that you want to capture, something rhythmic like a drum loop or something like that, or from the lyrics. A lot of times the lyrics will have different voices and forms based on the genre of song the writer hears the lyrics in, like hears inside of the head. I don't know. Anyway, the song that I was writing was kind of a pop punk in the 80s sense, not in the 2000s, my own worst enemy pop punk, but pop punk of a different era. Think like pre-Nirvana, The Replacements and REM, and those bands from ancient times. I didn't write any lyrics until I finished the entire music track, which included the drums, guitar, bass, couple of keyboard parts. Then I started writing the lyrics. The way that I did this was I went back into my Apple Notes. I keep a lyrics section in there where I just either have whole lyrics or parts of a verse or just a potential title. And with this one, I found a potential title called Give My Records Back. So I wanted to write a song about a guy whose girlfriend broke up with him, but kept his records that he'd brought over to play at her place. I had this happen to me in college where I was the one who got to keep the records, and I still have them all these years later. Carrie, you're never getting your records back. So I kind of go through the song and I write the lyrics verse by verse. I just go section by section until I have everything finished. And when I did, I realized that I had a problem. I didn't have enough space in the second verse to have the second verse. In most DAWs, it's pretty easy to kind of cut, copy, and paste sections of a song one after the other. You kind of move the song down and then you plop it in place. And as long as you're on a click track and everything's locked to the grid, you can do that. So I went ahead and did that for that second verse. And it is possible to do that in Logic for iPad, but because it's a touch-based thing, it was just a little frustrating because it wasn't as intuitive. Getting to the tools and that kind of thing were a little bit more difficult. It took me a while, but once I got that figured out, I did the lead vocal, I doubled the lead vocal, which is kind of a pop song secret weapon. Then I came up with a high harmony for that lead vocal that goes throughout the song, and I tracked that, and then I doubled that. After that, I tracked 3 harmony parts for the bridge section, and I doubled each of those. So I ended up with 12 vocal tracks. I don't think I had that many instrument tracks, but I have 12 vocal tracks. So at that point, I was pretty much done. All in all, it took me about 6 hours from start to finish in Logic Pro for iPad to get the song roughed out into a demo. Now, the mix was very rough at that point, and I couldn't really hear as well with the Behringer interface as I had hoped. The headphone amp wasn't very powerful. So it was hard to hear what I was doing, and I didn't have any monitors set up, so I decided at that point I would let everything upload to iCloud, and then I would open it up on the computer over here because Logic for iPad and Logic Pro for the computer are interchangeable. You can open up the projects on either one. So I waited, and actually this was annoying. It took a long time, like a couple of hours for everything to upload off of the iPad so that I could then open it up over here. I was able to get a rough demo going on the iPad, but I don't think I would be able to do a mix in the way that I would want to on the iPad, at least not with a lot more experience. It was very difficult to find the things that I wanted, and the third-party plugins that I use when I mix weren't there. So I opened it up on the computer and I did some more tweaking and arranging and that kind of thing, and I mixed it. Anyway, here's the demo for Give My Records Back, which I recorded on the iPad Pro with Logic Pro for iPad.
Said you love me, said you'd never go away. I was trusting, but it was just something to say. How many nights did we listen to the music that I left behind? You can go, but all I ask is you get my records back. Get my records back. Said I'm sorry. Said I need you in my life. Said I'm crazy. Said you'd never be my wife. But how can I live through this breakup if you have my copy of Joni Mitchell's Blue? I've got a case of you, it's killing me. Get my records back. 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 Won't you get my records back? Get my records back.
So there it is, warts and all. Here are some good and bad takeaways that I had, in addition to what I've already talked about with Logic Pro for the iPad. On the side of the good, working on the iPad was really fun, and actually because I didn't have a whole lot of stuff, I just had like the couple of things I was using, it was easy and I got things done quickly. It was just like a little workstation as opposed to like a big studio, which sometimes you can just get lost in the weeds. Everything to make music is there. Again, you know, you might need some external equipment if you want to do vocals and don't want to use the iPad microphone, or if you want to plug in an external instrument, but they have made it so that you can play a lot of stuff in there, and it was very fast and it worked pretty much flawlessly. The touch interface was kind of non-intuitive, but once I got the hang of what I wanted to do, it was better. Now for the bad, or maybe not bad, but just kind of things that I didn't enjoy as much. Okay, the interface when you're opening up the mixer and you've got the track window with the waveforms, and you've got like stuff that you're picking from the side for sounds and that kind of thing, gets very, very crowded. When I wanted to find keyboard patches, everything was sort of lumped together. It wasn't individual instruments that had different sounds, or at least I didn't find those. So that was a little annoying because I just had to keep demoing sounds. The editing was not as intuitive as I hoped. It took 30 minutes to figure out how to do that little duplicate thing, and when I did it on the computer a couple of different times, it was like just a couple of minutes. And as I said, uploading from the iPad to iCloud took forever. It took forever, and I've got like a really good network here. Shouldn't have taken that long. I don't know what's going on there. And then battery life wise, just to be warned, and I killed my 12.9-inch iPad's battery. This is the M1 2021 version. I killed that battery in 3 hours. So I basically had to charge it in between doing things, which was fine because 3 hours is enough to work, and I picked it up. Anyway, ultimately, I don't think I want to pay the subscription for it because I have Logic that I already paid for that I don't have to pay for again, and this doesn't really add a ton. It is pretty powerful. It does sort of make the iPad work a little bit more than maybe other iPad apps have done in the past, and that's nice to see. If you're a songwriter, it's a good notepad to get ideas down. For an old school songwriter like me who did this stuff when, we were using cassette tape 4-tracks, it doesn't really make sense for my workflow because there's a lot of stuff that I have to do to get my sounds into the box. But it could be a cool way to break out of my routine and do something new. In fact, this was a break from my routine and I got something done that I really liked. But you could do that on the iPad with GarageBand for free. Logic for iPad right now is kind of a mixed bag. It's fun, but limited in its own strange way. But for some people, it might just be the right tool for the job. I would say test it out for yourself. You get 30 days for free. Thanks once again to UPDF for sponsoring the video. Go check them out in the links down in the description below. There's a great discount down there for UPDF services. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Until the next time, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This has been Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest it hurts. I'm out.